Welcome to our YouTube channel, Come Hobby With Us, where we share tips and tricks about some of our favorite hobbies. If you like this, please subscribe. On today's version of Come Hobby With Us, we're going to look at using a side cutter instead of a serger. I'm going to show you 3 different side cutters. We're going to compare them, the pros and cons, and this is what I use instead of using a serger.
I have 3 different side cutters here, and we're going to explore all 3. These two, this one and this one, are called universal cutters. Okay, we're going to take this one out of the box. We'll set the box over here. You'll see that it's a little bit different in size, but basically these act pretty much exactly alike. The only difference in them is the size of this housing. And this one right here, the one I just took out of the box, has a lever right here that will lift up. I can't, Steve, would you mind holding this lever up? So, because I can't do it and hold the camera. This little lever right here, okay, where they can see that. Okay, that lever will come up and back down. Okay, that does not do that on this one. And this one over here is the one made for the snap-on the brother, and it does not go up and down. The only difference in there is you have to slide your fabric under here, and on this one, this just gives you a little ease because you can lift it up to slide it in. Other than that, they work exactly the same, okay? Now, we're going to look at how to install one of the universals. We're only going to do one because, like I said, they install the same. They act the same. I'm going to put this one in. This one right here would be a little easier when you're putting your fabric in because that lever flips up. Okay, but I want to show you in case you don't have the one that the lever flips up, you won't have any problem with it. Okay, so let's set this one aside. And let's set the one by brother aside that snaps in. And what we're going to do is I've got some brown thread in the machine, and we're going to serge on some of this white fabric so that the serging will show real good. Okay? Hang on one second, and I'll redo the camera so I can show you how to install this.
Had a little problems with the audio here, but I'm simply saying that I'm going to show you the different parts. This is the section here that will fit around the shank of your machine, okay? And this right here is a hook that will go over the needle bar of your machine. This will move up and down, which will control the blade that is down below. But when the needle goes down, it's going to put the blade down. When the needle comes up, it pulls the blade up. The needle goes down. This is why it has to be on the needle point that comes out. Okay. Some of the other pieces that I want to show you in here. This little section, this little bar right here. Okay, that is where your thread is going to kind of wrap over as it's doing an overlock or a zigzag. The reason I'm pointing that out to you now is at the very end, if you have it sewed totally off, don't pull it sideways because some of those threads are still right there. Instead, I pull my fabric out the back, okay? What we're going to do is after we install this, our material is going to go over this part and under this part, okay? Let's look at how we attach it. First thing we do is we want to remove the foot that is here. I'm going to lift up my presser foot, and I'm going to just take this off to snap it off. Now, I have to also take off this shank holder because this has to attach in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew with a flathead screwdriver or one that came with your machine, and we're just going to loosen this up a bit, and this is the piece that we're taking off, okay? That is your shank. Now, we can take this piece. I'm trying to work from both sides here. We can take this piece, and what we want to do is get it around the shank, and I may have to pull that screw out a little bit more, and put that around that shank, okay? Okay, so we have one part around the shank, and we tighten that screw. And then you'll see that this other section over to our left is around the needle bar. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to cut this because we're going to do several different things to show you how it will look. And I want several pieces ready to go. Okay. So let's say we're doing 2 pieces of fabric together. So maybe this is your seam and you want this here. Well, the first thing you're going to do is I'm going to use this 1/4 inch guide on my machine, because that's it, so that I keep my fabric straight. The next thing is you're going to want to cut about the 1/4 inch, and you're going to want to make just a small cut, because you see the fabric, this cutter is already sewing before it's sewing before it cuts. So we've got to give this a little pre-cut. We're going to pull this piece here to come over here and under here. And I think we need a little more cutting. Okay, we're going to go over here and under here. That's this way. It's cutting always here on the top, so this piece has to be here. But we want this to be under. Now, I don't know how close up of a shot you can give here, Steve, but you see the little bar I told you the threads was going to go over. Can you see that? And then, so it's going to stitch on this side, this side, this side, this side, okay? Now, what stitch? We're going to start off with just a zigzag stitch, because that may be what a lot of you have. And I'm actually going to have the length be a little bit short. And we now will go sorry, but luckily my machine tells me what to do. I forgot to put the presser foot down. Now, I'm going to go real slow so that hopefully this camera can get how that thread is going over that bar. Okay, and what you don't realize is this thing here is now stitching. It's cutting. This is cutting, and that is stitching. And it should make everything the same. Let's go a little faster here. And I'm going to show you then how you can get an even better look. Let's change the length of this much smaller. Okay. And if I can get it in there a whole lot more. Now this is just a simple zigzag stitch. Okay, let's make that stitch even more narrow. And I'm not lining up real good over here, so I'm so concerned with teaching you that I wasn't paying attention to that. Now, I'm to the end. I'm going to lift my presser foot up, and as I said, if you pull off to the side, you're going to pull some of those stitches. So pull to the back, and then cut it. Now here is a piece of fabric. This is where we started our cut and was a little off, but you can see this foot did a zigzag stitch. Here's a zigzag stitch that's a little narrower, and down here we got even narrower. Now I want to show you what would happen. And here's the piece. It cuts this off completely. So my seam is completely straight. Even if you wanted to use a straight stitch to do this, it would work fine. Let's do this other side, and remember we're going to even this up a little bit. And we're going to start a little space. So I'm cutting that. And we're going to have all the fabric over, except for this piece that we've already cut slides underneath this little bar, so that where it's going to start sewing. Now, I'm going to ask our cameraman if he can stop for a minute and come around to this side of the machine and get a picture.
You see here, I have my machine set for some character decorative stitches and your utility stitches, and I have it on a zigzag. You may choose other stitches, such as a zigzag that is for stretching material, or there's several different options here. There is one that is a zigzag with just a straight stitch, which would look really, really nice with a side cutter. However, on another screen, I'm going to show you that I have several other stitches, and my favorite one is number 128 on my machine. I really like the way it looks, so that is what we're going to use for today. And where the machine even notes that this is used with a side cutter.
again, put this over and under. This side just goes over. We have our little cut. We can see right down in there where the needle is, and we're going to make a couple of little stitches, and watch what it's doing. It is going backwards and tacking that for us. And now we're going straight. Main thing you really need to do is probably watch your edge over here, which I wasn't doing very well a minute ago. One thing that's helpful, I have always found, is put a piece of blue tape where you want it. You don't have to watch specific things. Right now, I'm actually lining it up with the edge of the split over here. And let's stop here, and let's make this stitch even shorter. I went from a 2.5 to a 1.2.
A lot of these serged edges would look pretty for napkins. With that zigzag stitch, we could have even used just a closer together and a satin stitch. It would be great for napkins and scarves, other things that we really want a nice finished edge on.
Let's stop here. Let's cut our thread. And again, we want to pull this out kind of from the back. So since I didn't finish cutting it, I have to work with that. Okay. So here you can see this was with our zigzag stitch. This is with this overlock stitch that is made for that. And really, I think we went down way too far on it for here. But this would easily enclose seams for you, make nice finished seams, or even do, I haven't tried it, and I will try it and put it down in this video, doing this on a very silky type of fabric to make scarves. Okay, now a couple other things about this that I want to tell you is, if your thread breaks in the middle of what you're doing, do not use your automatic thread cutter. To use that, you're going to have to take the whole thing off, use your automatic thread cutter. Instead, just get your needle up where you can see it and thread it manually. If you can't thread it manually, you can take this whole thing off, but then you have to put it back on in order to work. The reason being, this mechanism gets in the way of the automatic thread cutter, so don't try and use that while you have this on your machine, okay? When you're through, you find where you put your screwdriver, and you simply take it off. Now, I'm not going to show you the second universal one in putting it on, because it goes on exactly the same. Okay, I'm going to loosen this screw and take this off. Okay, the reason I'm not showing you the other one is the only difference in the two is this one we had to do our fabric over and then under. This one, it's over and then you can flip this up to get it under easier. That's the only difference. The only difference. This one came in a box that's called CY19, is it? I can't read upside down. CY10, and it's a side cutter. These are usually pretty inexpensive if you get a universal side cutter. Now, I wanted to get one specifically for my brother machine. Now, the first thing we have to do is put our shank piece back on to my machine. And we'll just loosen the screw.
And just tighten your shank back up.
Nice and tight. Now, just like you would take any of your other feet, when we put these on the brother or any machines that have the snap-in, this bar right here, this is just a regular end foot. This bar right here is what clicks into here. On this brother's side cutter, that bar is right here. Okay, so we're going to put that in. We don't have to attach it to the shank because this is attaching it to the shank. We do still need to put this over the needle bar. And just like the other one, if you can see the blade here, when I push, when the needle bar goes down, that blade's going to go down and come up, go down and come up. We're still going to wrap our fabric the exact same way. So what we want to do is get that needle bar situated.
And once we have that hook on the needle bar, we want to look down here and get that bar and put your presser foot down, and it is attached. Again, we will do just the same way. We're going to make a little cut, and we're going to go over and under and get that. My needle is back right where the fabric starts, okay? And I'm going to do that same stitch, 128, but I'm going to move it back up, okay? And we put our presser foot down, and we start sewing. So you can see this works just like the universal one, every bit as much like it. Just like the universal one, I will tell you, do not use your automatic threader, because the automatic threader will hit some of these mechanisms and you can mess it up. So again, just manually thread it, or you have to take the whole thing off, the whole side cutter off, okay? Let's see if we can speed this up a little bit. Oh, that particular stitch doesn't want to speed. All right, I think we've done enough here. Let's cut that, lift this up, and let's get this to come off around the back. And I'll just cut this away. Now you can see it does very similar. The universal cutter and the brother cutter will do the same. What is the difference? Well, here's the differences I see. You don't have to undo the shank all the time if you have the one specifically for your machine. I believe Singer makes one. I'm not sure about all the other machines. So you don't have to undo your shank. You just have to pop this in and out each time. Both of them will not allow you to use the automatic threader, no matter which of these you use. The cost. The brother one cost me around $50. I like it because I don't like having to undo the shank piece all the time. The universal ones you can get, I'm going to just give an average cost at probably $8 to $12. You can pick up a universal one. They work just as good. They do every bit as fine. The difference is you have to undo that shank piece each time. It's a little more involved in getting it on. But if you have a walking foot, if you're, say, a quilter and you use a walking foot, this goes on pretty much like a walking foot would. So that's it on the side cutter. I will never use a serger again. I hate them. People either love them or hate them. I'm in the hate group. I don't like all those threads. So I do like this. I can choose many different options on my machine to get totally different looks. And do the serge. We're going to stop right here, but I'm going to see if I can find a piece of soft material, almost like a chiffon, and let's see how it does on that. I haven't tested that yet.
I found a great piece of very soft, silky fabric. It's a very sheer that I think would make a great scarf, but it would need to be serged.
I would need to serge the edges or do something with the edges. Okay, so I've cut a little sample off on here. And again, I started our cut already. I'm still using my brown thread. I didn't change it since we're doing samples. And I still have it on that stitch 128. And I'm going to put it to a 2.5 length. Let's see how that does. And I've got this piece over. I'm sorry, I did not put this piece over. It goes over in the front, and then this piece goes under the foot. Okay, I'm going to see where that line is, that cut line, and put it right in there. And I'm going to start. I'm going to see how this would do on something as soft and lightweight as a silk or a chiffon. This fabric is very, very sheer. This will give us a good idea. This would be real pretty with a pink piece. It doesn't look like the cutting. It looks like it's catching something. This would be real pretty with a hot pink serge on the edge, or black. Looks like we caught a little bit in there,
and I let go of it right there. So you need to keep your hands on this because it is such soft fabric. Okay, let's go ahead and put this here. Okay. It pulls it up a little bit because of this fabric, but I believe you could take this and when you steam this, it would be okay. And I think if I had put the stitches closer together and used a hotter color, it maybe made the stitch whiter. I do think making your stitch whiter on the chiffon would be would be helpful. But you could practice on a scrap of what you've got. I did a little bit up here and it actually looked a little better. So you could just practice it with maybe not this same overlock stitch, but even just a simple zigzag closer together would have worked better for this. But as you can see, this is very, very light fabric. You can see through it very easily. Okay. All right. So this is a review on the side cutters. My brother one is still on the machine. These are both called universal ones. They'll fit on any machine because you're attaching it to the shank. Okay, I hope that this helps you a whole lot and that you don't really have to use a serger anymore.
Steve and I thank you for watching this video on Come Hobby with us. We have a couple of video suggestions for you here on the left. And if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please click on our picture below. We're a couple of Sophies, seniors on fixed income. Hope to see you later. Bye.